Okay, now that we converted our listener into a class, I want to do the same with my backdoor. So this is going to be similar to what we did. First, I'm going to define my class by typing class, followed by the class name, which I want to call backdoor. And the first thing that I'm going to do is define a constructor by doing def underscore underscore init underscore underscore. And this is going to take self as an argument. And similar to the listener, I'm going to make it take the IP and the port as arguments. Now, like we said before, in the constructor, we put the code that we want to be automatically executed when an instance of this class is created. So in my example, I want to execute these two lines, which will create an instance of a socket, which we were executing at the start of our script. So I'm going to cut them and put it in here and make sure it's indented properly. And basically, as we know, these two lines, the first line will create an instance of the connection of a socket, and then the second one will connect to a specific IP and port. So in here, I'm going to use the IP that I'm taking as an argument and the port. And also, if you look at the rest of the code, you can see that our code uses the connection. So we need to be able to access this within our class. Therefore, we're going to add self before the variable name so that this will be an attribute of the class. And this means that we'll be able to access this instance or this variable throughout the whole class, throughout any method in our class. So when we want to use this, we will always have to say self.connection, and this will apply here and here. Now, I already have a function right here that I programmed before, and all we have to do is just tab it so that it's part of my class. And I'm going to make it take self as the first argument so that it's a proper method of the class. And finally, I'll have to put the rest of the code, which is this code right here, into a method. Now, this code is the part of the program that'll run the infinite loop where the program is going to take the user input, execute it as a system command, and return it back to the hacker or to the listener. So I'm going to define a function. We'll call this run, and it'll take self as an input. And I'm just going to highlight all of this and press tab twice so that it's part of this method. And now our program is done. So, like we said before, now we can create another file and call this from that other file. And this is perfectly fine. When we get to packaging, you'll be able to package the two files as one file. Or you can do what I did with the listener and just create an instance of this class at the bottom of the class. So we can literally just fold this whole class right here and forget about it. And we can create an instance of it by typing a variable name. So let's call this my backdoor. This is going to equal to a backdoor class. So this will create the object for me. And it'll pass, first of all, the IP, which is 10.0.2.16, and the port that we want to connect to, which is 4444. And then we're going to say I want to do my backdoor.run to run the backdoor. Now, let's go and test this and make sure that we didn't break anything. So I'm going to go down, run the listener, and we're going to go on my command prompt here and run the backdoor. Looks like it's running fine. We get the connection. Let's execute some commands. So let's do dir. And this is not working. So something is not being parsed or used properly. So let's go back and see if we made any mistakes. And yes, we did. throughout our code, we're calling a function called execute system command. But as we learned before, when we do this, so it's in here, we need to say self.execute system command, because now we're calling a method that is programmed within our current class. So we have to put self before the name of the method. So now this should get it working for us. So let's do the same again. I'll do Control-C in here. Listen for incoming connections. And run the backdoor. And let's do a command. And as you can see, the command is getting executed properly. So let's try another command. And again, everything is working as expected. Now, like I said before, we didn't really implement any new features. All we did right now is we converted the code for the listener and for the backdoor so that it's object-oriented, so that it uses classes, and this will make the code neater and easier to extend, so that in the future, in the next lectures, we'll start to build on our backdoor, we'll make it more reliable, and we'll start adding more features to it.